back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be taking a look at the new remake of Silent Night, Deadly Night. Now, the original came out back in 1984, and it's actually a pretty solid, underrated slasher movie from around that time. It revolves around Christmas, which is kind of a big deal because, it's always great to get a nice Christmas horror movie. I know back then that movie got a lot of flack from a lot of people in the country. They weren't a big fan of, somebody killing some people dressed up as Santa on Christmas. Whatever, man. It's a pretty solid movie that you definitely should check out. Now, with this remake, I was actually pretty surprised with it. I didn't really know what to expect. Was it going to be more of a horror remake that sticks exactly to the formula that the original put out? Or was it going to change some things up and, make it different? And I appreciate the fact that this movie sticks true to what's good about the original, but definitely changes some aspects in the story to make it its own thing. So yes, it is a remake, but there's definite differences that makes this one stand out on its own, and ends up being right up there with the original. Honestly, I can't really say which one I would prefer over the other. I'd probably have to watch this one again just to, kind of see which way I would go. But as of right now, I think they're both solid movies, and this is one that I would definitely recommend checking out. Now, if you're not familiar with the original, Silent Night, Deadly Night basically follows a kid named Billy. When he is a young boy, he watches both of his parents get murdered by a guy dressed as Santa Claus. And that whole dynamic is the same in both movies. Where it changes a little bit in this one is he actually gains like the spirit of the Santa that killed his parents. When he goes and grabs his hand when he's a young boy, his soul gets put into his body, sort of. So it's almost kind of like Venom, where you have Tom Hardy walking around and Venom is inside of him, talking in his head, telling him things to do. You've got this Santa Claus guy that was killed, Billy's parents. He is basically telling Billy what to do, and Billy goes around and starts killing people that this guy sees as bad. And it's a pretty, cool dynamic to see this, when he's older. He's obviously in probably his 20s, late 20s. I don't know if they really say how old he's supposed to be in this one. But, basically he's going around killing all these people that he thinks are bad. Kind of like a Dexter, he's killing bad people, serial killers, rapists, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. But it's an interesting concept. And, like I said, with the original, I really enjoyed it. But this one does enough to, show homage to that movie and do certain story elements that are definitely the same. But I appreciated that this had some aspects that were different. I won't get into too many of the other ones just because it does kind of spoil some stuff that does happen later on. But like I said, it's definitely a movie I would recommend checking out because it's just a fun slasher. It's got a lot going for it. The main character, Billy, is played by Rowan Campbell, who everybody is going to remember as Corey from Halloween Ends. And I know that movie gets a lot of flack. A lot of people were not big fans of it. However, I actually enjoyed Halloween Ends. I think it's pretty underrated. And I actually like Rowan Campbell in that movie. I thought he was a good villain, and it was an interesting thing to see and follow his character at the movie. He's kind of your biggest known actor in the movie. You also have Ruby Modine, who's been in some stuff here and there. She plays a love interest for him, and she's actually really good in the movie. She gets a lot of weight to carry that I didn't expect. And it's nice chemistry between her and Rowan Campbell that I think works really well. The only downsides to the movie, I would say, are, there's some things here and there that just don't really work. I will say I'm not a big fan of the Venom, like this guy being inside of Billy and telling him who to kill. I'm not a huge fan of that aspect of the story. I do, however, think it's funny that the guy that plays the Santa, that his soul goes inside of Billy, is the guy in the mailroom in Elf when Will Ferrell's character gets sent down to the mailroom and starts hanging out with that 26-year-old guy who he claims is his best friend now. That guy is the Santa Claus in this movie, and I think that's actually pretty funny. There's also a police officer character who kind of pops in and out of the movie that really doesn't feel fleshed out at all. He's not in it enough to really like make him anything notable, but then he kind of plays a pretty big role later on in the movie, and it's like, well, maybe we could have seen a little bit more of that guy to kind of know what's going on, other than him just popping in and kind of being in the background of some scenes, but you know, it's whatever. At the end of the day, it's just a fun, solid slasher movie. Like, you got great kills, a lot of gore, a lot of blood being thrown around. You get a good performance from Rowan Campbell, and I think Ruby Modine is actually pretty solid in this movie as well. So you got a couple good performances thrown in. It's, you know, a bit over the top, so this definitely isn't going to be a movie for everybody. But if you're a big horror fan, especially slasher genre, and you like kind of the cheesy movies that harken back to 80s movies, this is definitely going to be right up your alley. Overall, I'd give this movie probably about a B-. Like I said, it's nothing spectacular or anything like that, but it is fun, it's enjoyable, it's a good Christmas slasher, and I definitely recommend that you guys check it out. That's about it for me, guys. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more reviews, rankings, all kinds of good stuff. I'll leave all my links down below on where you can follow me and check out more of my reviews. And until next time, I will catch you guys later.